Welcome to 1% Wealth.
I'm Cody.
And I'm Nat.
With money, we all have our unique questions.
And we're here to give you the answers. How do I find out where all of my superannuation is? So this is the question that we've had a number of times now, so 12 times, believe it or not, for something that most people take for granted. So superannuation is definitely a hot topic right now. So at the moment, the financial advice industry in general is getting slaughtered by the media. So in summary, the Royal Commission came through and found out that the large banks, the AMPs of the world, they were all guilty of charging fees for no service, and this is directly relevant to the subject today. So I won't bore you with the ins and outs of superannuation today. Nobody wants that. But what I will point out is that there is a very easy way to understand where all of your superannuation is. So like most people, they get jobs when they're young. So 14, 15, 16, they have their first job at maybe a local takeaway shop. Then they move on to do something, maybe it's labouring, maybe it's an apprenticeship, maybe they go to university. So every job that you take on, especially when you're young, superannuation is probably far from your mind. You're probably thinking about what your hourly rate is, Saturday penalties, Sunday loading, etc. So it's very far to the back of your mind. Most people don't really sort of think about this until their later years, typically your early 20s, which is, it's not too late, but the quicker that people sort of cotton on to this idea that the more super you have, the more fees that you pay, and the more fees that you pay means less money in your account at the end of the day, the better the whole of Australia's superannuation system will be. So to provide a little bit of context without going too deep, the Royal Commission, which you all would have seen, absolutely tore through the financial advice industry, and it was found that the big banks and the AMPs of the world were guilty of charging fees for no service. This fee for no service dilemma is exactly what we're talking about today. So say, for example, you have 3 superannuation accounts, so 1, 2 and 3, which is not too far out of the ordinary. With those 3 accounts, you're paying 3 sets of administration fees, and the cheapest funds in the market are at least $100 a year. So times that by 3, you've got 300. Let's use an example of $20,000 in super for the lower end of the market, 1% fees across the lot. So that's classed in the whole investment balance, but you're looking at around about $500 per annum on that every year that you kind of giving to fund managers to manage your fees. Most employees are part of an employer super plan, and if you're not, ask your employer. They should point you in the right direction. They should have asked you this on the way in, but that's another story. But if you've got one superannuation, you're literally wasting your time right now, so good for you. Save yourself some time and some pain, and I don't know, maybe scroll on to that dancing cat or do whatever it is you were doing. But for most of you, you probably have more than one super fund. And today we're going to talk about how to actually how to find those. So in short, there's 2 ways. So if you've got a MyGov account, I would definitely recommend that you get online, look into MyGov, click on the superannuation ribbon, so it's at the top of the screen, drop it down, and it will list the super funds that your tax file number has been linked to in the past. The other way to do it is to pick up the phone and to give the ATO a call. Bear in mind, this probably will take between 5 and 10 minutes. Sometimes in peak call times, I've waited for 20 minutes, but you should be done and dusted within 15 minutes. So that's the first step, to call the ATO, and I'll put the number on the screen right now. So I'll just jump it out, get it out of my phone. There we are. So it's, can we see that? Yep, 1-800-012-238. So that's the ATO's super hotline. They will basically ask you for 2 things. the last registered address that you would have listed on your last tax return. So make sure that you have that, and also your tax file number. So everyone should have their tax file number handy, whether or not you save it, lock it in your phone as a contact, etc. I'm not going to recommend how you do that. It's just very handy to have. So quote that, and then the ATO will give you an idea of what super funds were active. They'll also give you the account numbers which you will need. So the first thing is the number of super funds. So definitely get a piece of paper and write those down. Ask for the account numbers, and if they have them, ask for the approximate balances as at the start of last financial year. So those three things. So again, first, the name of the super fund, 2, the account number, and 3, the approximate balance. So once you've got the name of, to cut this short, the MyGov account, if you've got the listed accounts, you'll also have the account numbers. You'll also have the names of the super funds as well. So for both, we'll just merge this into one instruction now. So once you've got the names, put those into Google, and literally Google the super fund names. You'll get a phone number, call that phone number. Make sure that you're dogged in the way that you approach this, because these funds make money off you not knowing that they're making money off your money. So again, they make money off your money not knowing where your money is. So that in itself is a whole other issue that I won't go into today. So get the name of the fund, give them a call, quote your specifics. If it's a lost super fund, you probably have an old address, so you'll have to spend some time going through that. Then once you get onto the right, so once they've located your account, confirm the account balance is what the ATO has quoted, confirm the superannuation balance. They'll always say, it's subject to change, etc. But to get a rough idea, I sat down with a client just 2 days ago. They thought they had one superannuation fund. They had 3, and we found an extra $3,000 for them in the room. Now, for the most of you, you'll probably have more than that, but for this client, it was very, very relevant. 1, because of their age, and 2, because of their personal situation. So hopefully you don't have a number of lost super accounts out there, but this is basically the process to do that. Before we move on, I'll just touch on one really important part. So superannuation in isolation is not a fun subject, I get that, but before we submit the rollover forms, and usually the fund that you contribute to will be a current fund. It's probably got life insurance attached to it. You've probably made death nominations, so whether binding or non-binding, to your estate, to your spouse, to your children, etc. But just be careful before you roll over your outside funds into your main fund. There's one thing that we have to be really cautious of, and this is where I'll never sell financial advice on here, but I will highlight where it's important to get financial advice, is if you've got an existing life insurance policy, and life insurance could take the form of income protection, life insurance, TPD, which is total and permanent disability insurance, or income protection. Just be very cautious if they're existing in-force contracts. Sometimes due to health reasons, etc., they are very hard to come by. So probably reach out to a qualified financial advisor just to broach the subject and go from there. But that's all I'll say on that matter. But if there's no insurance attached, they're basically just duplicating fees. So it's better off rolling those into your main superannuation fund to stop that duplication and stop money basically leaking from your account. Thank you very much for submitting your question.
We hope you got value out of today's response.
And if you have any other questions, you know what to do.
And